Hello, and welcome to Sunday School for CEOs, where your next level in business starts with a mind aligned with God as boss. I am Jenny Bittner, ordained spiritual minister and business leader of over 20 years. I have chased the titles, the money, the recognition, only to realize that the real pursuit is in experiencing mind miracles. And this podcast is here to show you how real life, real stories, real shifts in business from fear to love. So let's dive in. If this is your first time catching me, I am sharing real questions, mentorship questions dropped in my chat specifically for this podcast. So we are going to read real questions, real stories, real challenges in business, and I am going to share my advice on them. Okay, so first question in for today's episode. You talk about receiving messages from God or receiving downloads. I receive messages, but it's not always business related. I'm not always able to hear the answers. My question is, how do we strengthen that connection to really receive those downloads? I make space and I'm patient, sometimes impatient though, about that next step. I feel like there's something that I'm missing. Okay, so this is so great. And I love this question because a lot of people, talk about I received a download. I channeled this message. And sometimes it can be really confusing for other people to hear that and think, okay, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I not receiving messages? Why is God not talking to me? Why am I not, getting my next step? And the truth is, every single human being on this planet, if you are walking this planet right now, planet Earth, you have God inside of you. You do not need to go somewhere to speak to someone, to be mentored by someone special in order to receive the messages. You're not doing anything wrong. God is in you. We are all fractals of the whole. So the way that I explain this a lot, and I even taught it to my 10-year-old and 5-year-old this way, is if you think of the sun and you think of the rays of the sun that come off of if we were to draw a sun, we would draw a circle and we would draw all of the rays off of that sun. And each one of those little fractals off of the sun, I want you to think of a little human attached to the end of that ray of sunshine. So as we have these lines coming off of that big ball of energy in the middle, and you put a little human on the end of every single one of those, that is literally what it is. If the sun was God, every single one of us are an extension of God. We all have God in us. God is not some human off in some foreign land. It's not some, my friend used to always call it Sky Daddy, right? It's like some person up in the heavens, up in the earth. If you go high enough in the sky, there's God. It's just sitting there waiting for, to talk to you. It's not like that. We all have this essence, this energy inside of us that will guide us. It's like an intuition. It's like a sixth sense. And that will guide you when you learn to discern the difference between your higher mind and your lower mind. And I speak to it in relative terms that we as humans can understand. So if we're talking about our higher mind, that higher mind is the voice of reason, it's the voice of God. It's the voice guiding you to your North Star. It's the part of you that is eternal. It's the soul. It's the energy that is undying, unchangeable. You can't kill off the soul, right? Our lower mind, otherwise known through A Course in Miracles as the ego, that lower mind or the ego is what comes with the human body when the human body is created. And it's also what goes with the human body when the human body dies. And that mind, that voice is exponentially louder, a little bit more chaotic, and it gives off a louder voice to distract us, from our higher mind's voice. And this is part of the process is learning to discern between these two voices. When we hear the voice of our higher mind, the voice of God, the voice of reason, the voice that will always point us to our North Star, to our purpose, it's quieter, which means we have to slow down. We have to get quiet. We have to calm the chaos. And sometimes that means stepping off the path in the storm to actually hear that voice of reason. And then we've got that illusion voice that's really loud. Like I said, it's a little bit chaotic. It's always, I always say if it's light, it's right. If it's heavy, it's from the ego. So it's got almost this heavy feeling. And so when I find when people are saying, I'm not getting the messages I want. I'm not getting, am I doing it wrong? Am I not listening properly if I don't hear that next step? This is where trust and faith have to be restored because the voice is in you. You don't not have it or you're not doing it right. It actually takes a lesson and it takes practice and pure faith and daily devotion to quieting the lower mind so that the higher mind can come through with next directional steps. And your next steps are not going to be presented just as business or just as love life or just in friendships or whatever the case may be, because your life is not linear and it's not compartmentalized that way. We're living our lives to experience miracles all day, every day. And a miracle is just that it's literally just a shift in perspective from fear, which is coming from the lower mind, to love, which comes from the higher mind. And what we're practicing is how often can I move from a moment where I am experiencing a fear or attack thought or an upset or a grievance? And how can I shift from that experience to one where I'm actually feeling love? I'm feeling the highest frequency possible. I'm experiencing truth. I'm experiencing God speaking through me right now and helping me to get to that next step. And so, actually, recently, I just experienced this as well, where I started to feel very overwhelmed and I started to feel like I didn't know what to do next. And it was like I was in quicksand. I had just, we live half the year in Mexico, we live half the year in Canada. And so we were just leaving Mexico and packing up our condo and packing everything up into our bins and storing them. And then, we just had a virus move through our house. And then we got on our plane and came back to Canada and we had to reset up our home here. So we live in a beautiful trailer at a campground, like for the half the year that we're in Canada. We had to set this whole place up and it was freezing. And then we just all got through another sickness went through our house and we're like, what is happening? And all at the same time, I'm launching this new agency and all these things are happening and I'm feeling like I'm behind and honestly, I had to stop and slow down. And a lot of country songs say, you get on your knees and pray. I actually had to do the act of getting on my knees. And I remember doing this as a child. I remember my mom, we had to pray every night before bed and we got on our knees and elbows on our bed and we prayed. But at that time, it was just a practice. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand it. I didn't know why we did that. I just did it because it was a practice that my mom had us do. But I literally got on my knees and I started talking to God. And God, remember, is not Sky Daddy. It's not some person, human experience up in the air. It's in me. So when I'm talking to God, I'm talking to my higher mind, which is connected to the collective. It's connected to every single human on this planet. It's connected to the all loving, all seeing energy that is pure consciousness. It's pure love. And that's who I am talking to. It's in me because it's connected in me. It's the soul that is connected to nothing but pure love. And so as I'm on my knees praying, it's the act of me surrendering and me getting quiet and me having a real conversation with the part of my mind that is connected to love. Because remember, if I'm wanting to experience a miracle, I'm wanting to shift from this fear thought, from this overwhelming, completely, quicksand feeling to a state where I'm actually feeling like I'm experiencing love. I'm experiencing bliss. I'm experiencing direction. I'm experiencing something other than this grievance that I'm holding right now. And so it's within those moments where I get quiet and I am praying for direction that I am reminded that my human needs to step back, that my human needs to stop thinking that I'm 2 steps behind, that nothing is going right, that things feel chaotic, and that I need to start passing over my decisions, passing over my daily agenda, passing over what needs to happen next to the higher mind that always can see the whole picture. And it was in that moment, and I work with a spiritual minister as well. I've been with her for 7 years, and I sent her a message as well, and I was like, "Oh, Lisa, I'm just crumbling right now. Like, I don't know what's going on. I've just got so many things moving." And she reminded me that God is never going to have multiple things that you need to do at the same time that would require all of this big energy. So you just launched a business and then you moved and then you're like leaving one place, leaving one country, coming to a new country, then getting your kids set up in homeschooling again and rebuild. Like, take the time to do that. It is okay if you're not working 8 hours a day in your business, because you're going to come back around to that when this is settled. Allow God to guide your day. And one of the greatest things that I learned through my spiritual ministry when I was a student and really studying this every single day for 3 years, one of the things that I can say stuck out the most with me is the rules for decision, which is that you never make a decision by yourself. You never leave the decisions up to the human. You consult with your higher mind and you surrender the human body, which has the ego with it, which is always gonna guide you towards more of, like, the illusions of what it thinks it needs, what it thinks it wants, what it thinks it needs to do right now to get ahead, and you have that full faith and trust that if God is guiding you to setting up what you need to do next, even if it doesn't seem logical, and we trust, and we have that faith. We have that faith that that right next thing is going to happen and is happening. It's when our human gets involved and starts to try to make logical sense or judgment against the next best step that we really start to get tripped up. Because then we start judging it with our logical mind. Why? Why am I being asked to do this? Why is this the next step? Like, oh, that next no, I'm not doing that. How is that going to get me farther ahead? How is that going to make me more money? How is that productive? But God is not this is where I say when God is boss, it's not the kind of boss like we would typically be used to in a corporate setting where it's like we have the list of tasks that we need to do every single day and that is your job. You do those things, rain or shine, happy or sad, you do those things. That's the job that needs to get done. God is very different as a boss. You will find that your days will be guided very nonlinear and they will be guided according to what needs to be done today in order to achieve the highest state of bliss and joy and love and peace of mind. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't go to work and do the things we need to do, because that is just the reality of what being in this human experience looks like for most people, right? If we've signed up to do this job and we've agreed to do these things and we're committed to doing these things, we do these things. And through that, we can also be expressions of love while we do it. We can be expressions of happiness and joy and bliss while we do it. And we're also listening to our higher mind. And your higher mind is not going to actually steer you in the wrong direction. I actually just read, and I probably shouldn't even be talking about this yet because I have not fact checked it. So I'm going to fact checked it as well. Fact check. There we go. But it was actually talking about when we have that gut intuition and we have that sense of knowing, it's right near our solar plexus, which is one of our chakras, one of our energy centers. And it's actually like a little organ. And I think they call it the nexus body, and it produces this sense of knowing, and it's connected all the way up through to our brain. And it's literally like an organ that but they had, I guess, declassified it, and then it's coming back out now where they're like, no, like we've known that this organ has been part of the body for 75 years, but it was like removed from all of the medical training and all of this. Again, I haven't fact checked it. However, when I read it, it actually gave me this like sense of I wouldn't be surprised if this was real because I understand energy so well. And I also know that our bodies are they are equipped, they are born with the ego, that lower mind, our ability to have the higher mind, connection, collective consciousness, all of these things exist. If you've ever done any research in the quantum theories and how how we are absolutely undeniably entangled. So now I do know this, 2022 Nobel Prize was awarded to quantum entanglement, where they actually took two photons, separated them. They were like 14 miles away, and then they did something to one, and the other one still reacted 14 miles away because at one point they were entangled. So we do understand that energy and frequency and all of this is connected. And so if we understand that our higher mind comes from the part of that connection, that energy source that is all loving and pure, and we also understand that our lower mind or the ego's energy and frequency comes from a place that is attached to this human body that gives us the sense of duality, then we also know that there could be part of us that is being guided by illusions, being guided by only the vision that we see with our human eyes through the lens to which we've seen the world because of all of our own experiences, our past, things we've gone through that make our lens to which we see the world unique to us and our experiences, which is why we say in A Course in Miracles that nothing means anything except for the meaning you give it. Which is why I can go through something and I can have an opinion on it, and that opinion is completely based on my experience. That does not make that factual. It makes it my experience because I've given meaning to this event. I've given meaning to this thing because of what I've been through, because of what I've seen, because of my lens to which I see the world, which is why I'm so committed to teaching people how to have new experiences of their world and how to move to a place where we are prioritizing experiencing the miracles. Right? If we make this intentional commitment to wanting to actually experience a miracle every single day, we can experience thousands of these every single day. Again, this is shifting from the lens of fear and guilt and having these upsets and grievances. And we're able to actually shift the perspective to a place where we're experiencing love and peace of mind. Is that not something we would want to practice to do every single day? Yes, please. More, please. More miracles. And in business, we are faced with endless opportunities to be able to shift these grievances and upsets that we will experience hand over fist, right? We know they're coming all day, every day, especially when our financial health and our financial wealth and our financial stability is all coming from our own doing when we own our own business. So we feel a lot of pressure there. So, how can we fully trust and have faith that we will be taken care of and that our next steps will be given and they'll be given from the voice of God versus the ego, which is an illusion, and all of these things? Like, this is the practice. This is the practice. This is where these lessons repeat themselves until we have fully learned in our classroom to identify the patterns and to be able to shift and have a miracle. And it's just even praying to God, like, I want to have a miracle here. I am calling out for a miracle here. Allow me to shift from the state that I'm in to a state of love and peace of mind. So, if this spoke to you, it was meant for you. So stay close, subscribe, and I will be bringing you inside the mind miracles that we deserve to experience every single day. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.